Hello, namaste again, and thank you for your interest in the topics that I post about on Instagram. And would like to talk a bit more about in these videos, just to share a bit more of the wider context and the depth of the things that I'm trying to share. For those who do not know, my interaction with Hinduism has always been numerical, as in the first time I went to India, I encountered numbers as basically representatives of the deities. It's a very long story. My first book is all about that. But in short, to me, Shiva revealed himself as the number 9. So as a metaphysical concept, psychologically, socially, the number 9 just appeared in all kinds of shapes and forms to me every time I would enter a Shiva temple. Of course, after this, I got interested in numbers in general and went back to India many times to see how these numbers worked. And I found that there is, to me at least, such a thing as a numerical reality that speaks to you in a different way about life. So to me, Shiva was always the number 9. And today I'd like to talk about the connection between Shiva and Metatron. Metatron is, of course, part and parcel of kabbalistic heritage, so completely different realm that I entered myself again purely by feeling my way through. So, of course, I first had to learn Hebrew because otherwise you can't read the kabbalistic text. That's a bit of a thing on the side. But I did find that my entering the realm of the kabbalistic text was very similar to my entering the realm of what I found in India, the mythical numerical reality. As such, again, I just opened myself up and watched what happened, and one of the first things or concepts or names that really spoke to me, as in Hinduism Shiva had done, was Metatron. That's why I picked this subject as the first subject for a more in-depth talk. Of course, also because some people expressed some specific interest in that, Didi. So Metatron and Shiva. Metatron has been part of Jewish mysticism since its earliest stream, which is called Merkabah mysticism. Merkabah being the Hebrew word for the chariot, the throne chariot from the vision of Ezekiel. Metatron's connection with the Torah, because in Kabbalah everything is always connected to the source text, the Hebrew Bible, because those to Kabbalists, the letters of that text to Kabbalists are basically the blueprint of creation. So anything that happens in Kabbalah will always be tied back to the Torah. So the main links between Metatron and the Torah are basically threefold. The first, of course, is Genesis 5:24, where it is written that Enoch was no longer, because God had taken him. Now, Enoch was the person who, according to Kabbalah, later was turned into Metatron, the angel Metatron. Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, as such, to Kabbalah, according to Kabbalah, did not die and then go to heaven or anything like that. He was physically in perfect shape, and through mystical interaction with God, was no longer, as in came to a state, the apex of Advaita Vedanta or Satori or Nirvana, or how you call it. So this is the first link with the Torah. To Kabbalists, Metatron is Enoch, or was Enoch, and the base for that is Genesis 5:24. So the second connection with the Torah is basically through a description of God about himself and liking himself to somebody else. So I'm talking about the final part of Exodus 23:21. The full quote is, "Beware of him and obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions." And that's followed by, "For my name is in him." Now, forget a bit all that English, because in Hebrew, the implications are different. And of course, in Kabbalah, the implications are completely different. So the gist of the matter here is, for my name is in him. The Talmud, one of the Jewish texts, associates Metatron with this part of Exodus 23:21, with the angel that was sent by God to guide the Israelites through the wilderness. In Kabbalah, this part is kind of lost, and the focus is on the Hebrew rendering of the last part. So, for my name is in him, in Hebrew is ki shmi bekirbo, the last word of which is basically the crucial one. So, for my name is in him. My name here, according to Kabbalah, is the name Shaddai. Shaddai is affiliated with the ninth Sephirah, bit of a different subject that I will speak about more a bit later as well. So the Sephirot are the numerical living beings that are the emanations of the Godhead, basically even before creation. So it's also some kind of different blueprint, and can be likened, I guess, to the different deities in India. They're different expressions of nothingness. So it's the active representation of what passively is the truth. So the name Shaddai is linked to the ninth Sephirah, which is called Yesod, foundation. And here we have the first link for me with Shiva. Like I said, to me, the numbers speak before anything else speak, which is the base of Kabbalah, which I didn't know when I got into that. But according to Kabbalah, the numbers precede the letters precede the words precede the things. So God spoke in Hebrew. The resonation of those numbers and letters became the words. So when it's said that my name is in him, the link is to Shaddai, the number 9, to me Shiva, which really excited me and enthused me when I first encountered that. But there are more numbers involved here. So in Hinduism, basically, for me, I could go up to the number 9. After that, it's hard to sense numbers. In Kabbalah, it's a completely different thing. So you can go into very detailed numbers, big numbers, of course, as well, because it's always the numerical value of the words. And the words, you can deal with words. Kabbalists deal with letters. As such, there are big commentaries written on the Hebrew alphabet dealing with each single letter, why they are in that sequence, why their shapes are as such, why that particular number is linked to that. And then when you get to a word, of course, there are more letters, and hence these elements start interacting and form their own pathways and connect to other words, other sentences, etc., etc. So it's quite endless. Just to say, though, at the same time, that when Kabbalists words or different words share a numerical value, they share a soul, because the numbers precede the things. So in this case, Bekirbo, the part is in him. So the last part of the phrase "for my name is in him." In him is Bekirbo. Numerical value of that is 314. Now, the numerical value of the word Metatron, Mem Tetet Resh Vav Nun, is also 314. So to Kabbalists, there is a strong connection there. Now, the thing is not that because there is a number, we think there is a connection, and hence we give that a greater importance. It's more the other way around. The numbers are felt, and the connection is felt, and through the numbers we look at what they represent and which shapes they can take. So basically, the different words can be seen as different avatars, if you want, of the numbers. So Metatron 314, Bekirbo 314, and beautifully Shaddai, so the name that is connected to this particular quote of Exodus, is also 314. So the 3 times 314 to Kabbalists connect these subjects, and to me, through Shaddai, there is a connection with the number 9 as well. Now, the third textual proof, if you want to call it like that, with the Torah, is with the name Enoch, so the human or the mystic par excellence, really, that was turned into Metatron, the angel. The numerical value of Enoch is 81. and the numerical value of the only word that God uses to talk about himself. So when God in the Torah says I, the name there often, maybe exclusively, is Anochi. Anochi shares a lot of letters with the word Henoch, and the numerical value is the same, is 81. So that's the second connection that Metatron has with the Torah, and hence through the 81 again a connection to the number 9. 8 plus 1 is 9. This might seem a bit like playing with numbers, but a very old book, Sefer HaPliah, the Book of Wonder, uses this technique where everything is brought down to singular digits. So if you have a number like 314, first the 314 becomes 17, the 17 becomes 8. So in this case, the 81 becomes 9. And this way of looking at numbers is basically the expression of what is said about the Sephirot, the 10 emanations of God, that every Sephirah contains the other 10 Sephirot. So here the 1 becomes the 10, and then the 10 becomes the 100. So in this case, 81 becomes 9. But this is a bit of a sidetrack. This is the third proof text for Kabbalists that Metatron is already present in the Torah, in also through God himself. So apart from Shaddai, a name affiliated with God, or one of the names speaking about aspects of God, but also through Anochi, which is a much more direct expression of God, of course, himself. I'm saying himself here just for the ease. Of course, there's no such thing as he or she in this context. Okay, to go back to Metatron and the first stream of Jewish mysticism. So as said, Metatron already features in Merkabah mysticism, the main text of which start roughly at the 2nd century, and which is, I'm thinking of the greater Hekhalot. Hekhalot is a word that is used synonymously with Merkabah mysticism. So Merkabah mysticism is often called Hekhalot mysticism as well. Hekhalot being the plural of palace and referring to the palaces through which the mystics of that stream of mysticism found themselves to be traveling in order to reach that same state in which Ezekiel perceived God on the heavenly throne. So Merkabah mysticism in this way is very close to magic, as in the traveling through the different Hekhalot, the different palaces, different spheres of reality, if you want, was done by means of magical passwords, etc. It's a completely different kind of Kabbalah than the classical Kabbalah, which we usually use to refer to practical Kabbalah and Theosophic Kabbalah, starting more 11th, 12th century. So this is like 9 centuries later. In the Greater Hekhalot, one of the main texts, 2nd century of Merkabah mysticism, we find, as said, we find Metatron.